My name is Mia Reed and I'm doing a field check on Menage Feild. It is a 5-bar metal gate. It is in good condition. There is no dents or anything on the gate. And when you open the gate, it doesn't fall on its hinges and it only opens one way. So if horses are charged towards the gate, it will close on them, so it's safe.
So when you say it opens one way, which way do you want it to open? Inwards or outwards?
Inwards.
What do you think of the approach to the gate?
The land before the gate has hard standing, which is good, so it's easier to get horses out of the gate. But if you look into the field, if it wasn't frozen, they would be poached, where you can see all the horses' footprints in the mud.
And how big do you think this field is?
It is over 10 acres. It is currently being rested, but it's January, but it usually has about over 10 horses in it, and they all come in, live in,
So they just get turned out during the day?
yeah.
Yeah. So do you think this field would be suitable for that number of horses during the day for turnout?
Yes.
What type of fencing do you have in this type of part of the field?
In this field we have hedge, but there is also barbed wire as well, which is good because it's not good to have just hedge, as in the winter horses can barge their way through, and in the summer they can eat their way through. But usually in the summer it looks like hedge would cover it. But we have to check there's no poisonous things in here that the horses will eat in the summer.
Mm-hmm. So thinking of the barbed wire fencing, is barbed wire a good form of fencing or a poor form of fencing?
Barbed wire is actually a poor form of fencing, as it can cause injuries from like the sharp things, and it should be very tight and not loose, sag.
Good. And what type of tree do we have here?
That is an oak tree which acorns can fall off, which are poisonous to horses, and acorns cause colic. So it should be fenced off with an electric fence, so the horses can't eat the acorns.
What type of fencing do we have here?
This is a post and rail fencing which separates these two fields. It should have a third bar there to stop any small ponies from escaping to the other field. And this is a electric fence which is covering the post and rail fence.
So it just runs across the top rail.
Yeah, it prevents horses from rubbing on the fence and knocking it down or breaking it, so they can't get into the other field. And it's also to stop them from communicating with the other horses in that field, if there were any in the field.
So this is an automatic water trough. What other types of water supply could you have in a field?
You could also have another water trough, but not automatic. But that wouldn't be very beneficial in this field because of the distance from the gate.
Because how would you have to fill that one up?
You would use...
So if the field was closer, you could use buckets or a hose.
Yeah.
And because this one is a long way from the yard, you'd need to get a bowser on a tractor to fill it up.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've noticed that it looks like maybe the water trough has been leaking. So who would you report that to?
To the yard manager, which would be Dan.
And how often do you need to check water troughs?
Every 2 days.
Every day?
Oh yeah,
So how many times would you check it?
you would check the water trough every day.
Yeah, how many times? If you had horses that lived out permanently, how many times in one day would you check?
Twice a day.
Yeah, morning and evening?
Yeah, once in the morning and then once in the evening.
Yeah. And why would you need to check it?
In case it was frozen over like this, or if it was leaking, or if there was like any damage to it.
Good. And so when it is frozen, what do you have to do?
Come out and break the ice so that the horses can drink from it.
Yeah, which we can see has happened already this morning.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the location of this water trough?
It's good because horses on both sides of the field can drink from it, but it would be better if it was long ways along the field.
So it sticks out less.
Yeah.
What do you think about the shelter in this field?
The shelter in this field is very good because there's hedges all around, apart from the bit over there, but in the winter and the summer it'll be very sheltered off for them. But if you didn't have the hedges that we use for the shelter, you could use a man-made shelter, but it should have 3 sides, not a doorway, because horses could bully other horses from coming in, so it's easier for them all to come in.
And we've seen that there's an oak tree. Do you know of any other poisonous plants?
Well, we're in January now, so not many will be growing, but previously at the end of summer, there was loads of ragwort growing, so we went around and picked that. You'd have to wear gloves because it is poisonous, yeah. And then you would use a ragwort fork and a barrow to collect it all in, and then you'd wash your hands after.
And what do you have to make sure you get out when you take the plant out?
The roots, so that they can't grow back again.
If you did have horses in this field and you needed to give them hay, how would you feed hay in the field?
We would get piles of hay, but we'd have to have an extra number of hay for each horse. So if there was 5 horses, we'd have to have 6 piles so in case one horse bullies another, they'd end up not getting any hay. But they'd have to be spaced far enough apart so that they don't kick each other while they're eating.
And if you had a very large number of horses, what's another method of feeding hay in the field?
We'd use a bigger bale, like in all around, so that they can just eat from either side.
And how would you give hard feed in a field?
It's actually better to take the horses out of the field, particularly if they have different hard feeds. But if they did all have the same hard feed, then we could use a creep feeder.
Field. So what are your observations of this field?
Overall this field is pretty good, but walking around over there is a few rabbit holes which horses could fall into when they're galloping, but usually when they're in the wild they usually tend to avoid it. It's just when they get ridden, which is down to the rider, where they fall into it. And when we were walking around over there, there's actually a hill, so it's better for the horses' fitness and balance. So when they go off and walk down it.
So the field's being rested, so we'll probably start using it again in the spring. So do you think this field is in good order, and what do you think the grazing will be like?
Currently the grass is below 2 meters.
Inches.
Currently the grass is below 2 inches, so it's being rested, which is good. So when we use it again in the spring, it can grow more, so the horses don't just be eating pure sugar. And also, the only another bad thing about this field is there's lots of slopes, so it's a bit slippery and they could fall back.
Yes, I would say the slopes though are quite good overall in this field. There's nothing too steep that could cause an accident if they were mucking around. They're nice gentle slopes.
Yeah.
So I would say overall that would be a good thing in this field.
Yeah.
Yep, so it's being rested, and then when the grass grows through and gets to about 6 inches, then the horses will go back out.